In the news this week, calls to address COVID-19 concerns as discussions on whether medical and nursing students should help on the health frontline.
Say what? Some WA Chinese people trying to head back to China as the number of virus cases in Australia begins to spike.
The new normal, how coronavirus measures are affecting everyday lives of West Australians.
And AMA WA President Dr. Andrew Miller's exclusive commentary on Western Perspective.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Sarah Smith.
Good evening. The Australian Medical Association in WA has revealed truths about the potential impact of the coronavirus as the state tries to control the spread of the pandemic. President Dr. Andrew Miller has addressed health and social concerns gripping Western Australians, while welcoming medical and nursing students to assist in the response. Nelson Liu reports.
Telling the truth about the coronavirus.
There's been so much noise going on about this topic.
WA's top doctor getting to the heart of the impact to the state. Andrew Miller shared his views on COVID-19 exclusively to WAMN News, the doctor warning us about rising pressures to WA's medical system.
Frontline healthcare workers are putting themselves second and putting the public first. Their biggest worry really is how they're going to be able to do their job in these circumstances.
Government measures to slow the spread of the virus will also worry Western Australians.
Some of the social controls, that's going to bring about a bit of stress, and we all need to think about our own mental health.
And he calls for support for young people who are both healthy and have medical conditions, while asking the community to look after each other. As the pandemic worsens, the state government is recruiting doctors, nurses and support staff, with potential opportunities for medical students.
Medical students are very useful at a time of crisis. There's a lot they can do in terms of support.
And as cases rise, health authorities aren't ruling it out.
We're looking at all options for our workforce, and certainly that may be a consideration.
Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
And you can watch Dr. Miller's exclusive comment on Western Perspective. That's coming up in a few minutes after the news. As coronavirus panic spreads, members of the community are looking for any way they can protect their families. Travel agents are seeing an unexpected trend of Chinese Australian families trying to go back to China, where they think the trouble is dying down. Helene Fung has this exclusive report.
As the COVID-19 pandemic continues, some in the Chinese community are beginning to wonder if Australia is no longer the safest place to be.
A rumour, maybe they would believe China may be a safer place to stay now rather than Australia.
Eric Lee, director of Osworld Travel, has been faced with a new trend of people trying to get back to China. He says that people are hearing reports that China is beginning to recover, but are expecting the situation here to worsen.
Australia is the first stage of the crisis, and it's still an initial stage of the crisis, and they probably feel a bit more confident if they head back to China.
Premier Mark McGowan declined to comment.
Is China safer than Australia now?
Look, Australia, we're managing this situation as best we can. Obviously, China is managing it as best they can as well. I'm not going to make judgments about that.
Regardless of the Premier's perspective, Lee says it's a challenge to find flights for those who want to flee.
Chock-a-block, very hard to get any seats at all. Airlines are reducing the capacity of seats going out of Australia, and they keep reducing flights.
Helene Fong, WAMN News.
The COVID-19 continues to disrupt people's lives in Perth. The risk of community spreading means that universities are increasingly cautious about holding classes, and Murdoch University has cancelled face-to-face classes altogether. Students says although it's causing some inconvenience, everybody understands the need for action.
There is definitely going to be some difficulty adjusting to the online classes and the online courses. However, plenty of external students do it. I'm sure we can manage.
Small businesses are also facing disruptions. Bookstore manager Tim is confident that he will be able to get through the crisis, but says not all his neighbours are in the same boat.
Well, if everyone's panicking in a crisis, no one's going to buy high-end donuts or the finest cheese.
WA Police have begun patrolling shopping centre aisles in an effort to maintain calm amid the coronavirus panic buying frenzy. From Wednesday, the state government deployed police to both metropolitan and regional WA stores to bring order and stamp out aggressive behaviour. The government says shoppers can expect penalties if they're acting unreasonably.
I have not received any reports of public disorder. There's certainly some jostling and queuing and a lot of anxiety. But echoing the comments that the Premier's just made, we appeal for people just to be sensible and calm. There's no public disorder that's resulted in violence.
The WA Police Union has hit back at the state government over a pay deal claims is perplexing and disappointing. The McGowan government announced on Thursday that it would give officers an immediate $1,000 pay rise, hoping to support officers during the COVID-19 pandemic. But the union says it's never supported the deal, calling the payment disrespectful while officers are at risk in public during the health crisis.
US President Donald Trump has blamed China for the global impact of coronavirus, saying that the world is paying a big price because of the country's lack of transparency. Meanwhile, Mr. Trump refused to acknowledge that calling COVID-19 the Chinese virus is racist, even as tensions between Beijing and Washington continue. China has expelled 13 US journalists, requiring a mandatory handover of the credentials that allow them to report in the country. In Britain, Prime Minister Boris Johnson expressed confidence in his country's ability to control the virus in the next 12 weeks, as the COVID-19 death toll in the UK exceeds 144 people. The British government is encouraging its residents to work from home, avoid public transport, and is imposing mandatory testing for suspected cases. Mr. Johnson says the government is doing its best to secure more antibody testing kits as quickly as it possibly can.
As coronavirus spread around the world, some of you might think that getting off the planet might not be such a bad idea. NASA is doing a recruitment drive for astronauts. Applicants must have a master's degree or higher in a science, technology, engineering or mathematics field. If you don't have a master's degree, you can get around the requirement if you are a trained test pilot or have done at least 2 years or work on PhD. It's not that easy to get in, but once you are, you might end up living and working on the International Space Station. That's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on the website and social media pages.
Until next Sunday after 8 p.m, thanks for watching, look after yourself and have a pleasant evening.
Take care.